pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and we will do some audience introductions. Who would like to start?
I'm Jay Kelly. I think if you know me. Me and Carter Marshers are the Associated Student Body Presidents, co-presidents, and we're here to present our senior trip.
Okay, we're gonna move you up, I think, a little bit, maybe on the agenda, so give us just a second, we'll do that. What was your name?
I'm Carter Marshers.
Carter. All right. If we do the approval of the agenda, I'd like to make a change if we can to maybe move their section up. Yeah. So we can let them go ahead and go, so they're back down under item 6. So if we can move them up to maybe item 4. That's the delegation of visitors.
Yeah.
And then, do I have a motion for that?
I'll move to approve the agenda with the noted change.
Okay, so moved and seconded, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. So, number 3, delegation of visitors. These are speaking on the agenda, and I presume they're not going to probably be talking on the agenda tonight, so we'll just go to the next one if that's okay? Yes, okay. So, number 4, senior trip, take it away.
Okay, Jake is gonna go ahead and pass out some papers that we typed up for our proposal. It includes an itinerary on the back and on the front, a little bit of our purpose and where, when, and who. So, our purpose of the trip is just to celebrate our educational journey as a class. A lot of us have been together for the whole 13 years. I spent time together at this school. If not for the whole 13 years, at least for a great majority of it. And so we'd just like to kind of commemorate our last year here and make some special memories to kind of carry us through the rest of our lives. We plan on going to Sun River, Oregon for from May 23rd to May 26th. We should have about 24 students attending, and that is, of course, pending that all of our classmates make requirements to go to the trip and are on track to graduate at the time of the trip. And then for adults, we have, or for our chaperones, they're going to be Ms. Richards, Ms. Crawford, Cindy Kirkshank, Brian Kirkshank, and Tim Janisowski. Those will be our chaperones for the trip. And we plan on having 2 houses. I actually have them pulled up, and I'll have Jake bring this to you if you guys want to take a look at them. We'll have one for the boys' house, and that's going to be a 5-bedroom, and it's like a 16 plus for number of people. And for the girls' house is a 4-bedroom, and it's about 12 people. I'll let you guys go ahead and look at the houses.
How many boys and girls are in the class?
24.
24 total, but they did it based on how many,
boys and how many girls?
there's more boys than girls. I believe there's 3 more boys than girls.
Yeah, I think it's like 14 and 10 or something like that.
It's kind of hard to we've had the students drop in and out throughout the year.
They said they believe it's 14 and 10. I believe it's
I can
a difference of 3, but that may be correct. And Trina, did you get the picture I sent you?
No.
Oh.
Text message?
Yeah, I sent a text message.
Oh, yeah, got it. Thank you.
You bet. It's just the 3 pages of the, 2 pages of the proposal plus the cover sheet.
I do like the cover sheet, very classy.
Yep.
Okay, and then we're just gonna go over the itinerary a little bit. So we plan on leaving at 1 p.m. on the 23rd. Stop for lunch on the way up there at the barn and Sisters. Leave, and then arrive at Sun River by about 7 to check in. And then on Friday, our main event for the day is going to be the Newberry National Volcanic Monument. And go there, and that's going to be kind of our educational part of our trip. And our hope with having that included on our trip is that we will get part of our gas paid for through, is it you guys that we request that through? Is that the state for having a educational? How does that?
There's a reimbursement. I'll go through that stuff with you
Okay.
guys later, but
Okay.
yeah,
It's
it's,
good that you guys have some knowledge about that.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how it works, but that's kind of, and then also it's good to get all of us out on a hike and at least be outside for part of it. It's kind of our main plan for the day. Come back, have lunch at the village, get a little bit of free time, whether that be riding around, swimming, kind of hanging out at the event center there. And then after dinner, sitting around campfires and kind of maybe having some s'mores or just hanging out and spending time together. And then the next day, breakfast, biking to the marina, and then after spending some time with the marina, heading to the village and getting lunch there. And then free time. So our hope with that day is going to be getting a group if we have enough students that want to go to Bend for the day. Getting a lot of West of Bend to kind of go downtown and maybe look at some of the shops down there or just walk around Bend and spend some time. If not, the same thing as the day before where it's going to be like riding bikes or swimming or going to the event center. And then dinner, and we had originally talked about an observatory, but that was going to get a bit pricey. So we talked with our class again, and our plan is going to be after dinner, kind of going outside and setting up chairs and maybe blankets, like laying down and just stargazing, because it's something that we should just be able to do out there. And then Sunday is just waking up, cleaning the house, passing our inspections, and then heading back for the day, with stopping in Sisters for lunch again, and then arriving back here and unpacking.
That Shark Center is fantastic. I
Yes.
love it. If you've not been, there's a lot to do there. It's great.
is the slide heated? I hope for your sake it is. It's real cold that time of year.
I'm not sure about that part.
Yeah, I feel like the
Potentially
polar
could
bear, so
snow.
it doesn't matter.
And your Memorial Day weekend, it snowed.
We're okay with snow.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any questions for us?
I think the only question is like, what do you have set for do you have like a budget set?
We don't have a hard budget. I know I personally haven't crunched the numbers, but I know Jonathan, Miss Richards, I think even Julia has a little bit, Ethan Kellum, they've all kind of gone over like cost of housing and food and stuff like that. And at this moment, it seems like we have enough, as well as we're going to do some later fundraising. But that is one thing that we can get working on and get a finalized one in soon.
Well, I will say that you guys have enough to definitely pay for the lodging and food for the trip and all that. It just would depend on, because Cindy and I definitely looked at that early on when you guys talked about different locations. Because when you start going to places, depending on transportation and how many vehicles would you need and all that, that's where we start looking at added costs. So we did look for housing like this that you're doing. The 5-bedroom house does look a little expensive, so I'll double check on that one again. But you guys do have enough definitely for lodging and your food costs, et cetera. But again, if you want to go out for dinners and stuff like that, yeah, if you can fundraise a little bit more, it won't hurt you. But I think that you're doing pretty well with that overall.
Yeah, I think that's where mainly our fundraising comes into play. It's getting a little bit of extra money if we want to go out to dinner or having little extra activities added.
Yeah.
It's kind of what we're planning for the fundraising.
Couple of things on that I noticed too. For one, you guys had done a lot of fundraising over the years and you've done a good job of that. And I think that's put you in a good position. Over the last 20 years, we've seen more and more go towards like a senior skip day because they didn't have that funding. So you guys did a really good job early on when you still have a little bit of that fire there to do some of those fundraising activities. So that was good to put yourself in a good position, which we always talk about keeping doors open. So you did well with that. And the other thing is that if you guys can do that stargazing activity, that looked pretty cool because I looked online because I was wondering about timelines and costs and all that. I know they do a couple at night and you can even do your own party if you want to. That probably costs more, but I thought that may be cool. It may not be what you guys want to do, and that's what you guys want to do. It's not what I want to do. But if you guys decide you want to do something different, that's great. But if there is an activity that you guys could do with that, I thought that would be pretty cool. But again, you may change your mind on that. I understand.
We've got it pretty.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so I think that's just a matter of kind of taking a class by maybe talking to the class, see what
Yeah.
majority wants, and then once again looking at cost and whether we'd have to fundraise more for that or just set aside money for that. So
Have you guys already temporarily reserved the houses yet?
not at the moment. We've been waiting to get a meeting in to get approval, so that way we don't reserve and then have to back out. So
Well, and this class didn't have a eighth grade trip, so.
that's part of the reason why we have a lot of money is because we fundraised a bunch for our 8th grade trip, and then COVID happened and kind of gave us the benefit here for our senior trip to kind of make it better. So
That was some bad timing, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
that was.
To say the least. Well, thanks
Jenny
for
or
coming in.
Trina, you have anything you want to ask?
I don't, I would have liked to have seen a budget, but I think that I know with Cindy's word and with Cindy looking at it, I feel pretty confident. If we're ready for a motion, I'm ready to make one.
Jenny, anything you want to add?
Looks like that.
Okay, great.
You have a couple of people at this table that are, well, and on the phone, that have been on senior trips too, with our school. And so, it's always kind of a nice thing to be able to hear seniors come back and talk about that, or others here have had, previous kids go through it, et cetera, too. So, we wish you the best of luck and have fun and all that stuff. It's gonna be a good time for you guys.
Trina, if you'd like to go ahead.
I move that we approve the senior class trip.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
I,
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously.
Go rent those
Congrats, guys.
houses.
Yeah, go get those houses.
thank you. So big
If somebody else
thing,
does.
bring in a budget. Who should we actually?
Come see us tomorrow. I don't know if you guys have time, but Cindy and I can sit down with you guys a little bit tomorrow.
Okay, what
And
would
that
be,
way we can look at reserving houses for you.
okay, what would be a good time for us to come to that?
Talk with your teachers in the morning. I think you have a couple first period that would be good, but
Okay.
the sooner we can get stuff from Memorial Day, we can book, the better for you guys.
Okay,
So,
thank you so much, guys.
otherwise you'll be sleeping at the elementary school day.
Yes.
They got a nice gym, it looks like.
We had 5 printed. Do you want them to time so you can get them to?
Trina, got hers, and then we can always get Jenny a
Okay.
copy of that.
No. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
Yeah, that's usually, yeah. So you guys are going to Boston.
Yeah.
I saw that, yeah, I saw the 127 the other day. Yeah, well, when they first said we're going to the barn for dinner, I thought they said bar.
Well, we didn't have a school board.
Yeah, yeah.
Have a good night. Thank you.
All right, see you guys.
All right, let's move to number 5 now. Items for information for the board and superintendent report.
Sure. Written form here. So 2 things I talked about early on was the grants and the library grant. We really are excited about that, just because, we did a good job of parsing through some of the books that we really hadn't used, and we had some titles that hadn't been checked out in probably 15 years that we were able to comb through, and Ann's done a really good job of that. But we definitely have some spaces available in our shelves that we have in that new library. So we want to try to fill those up with level books. And again, we were able to get that grant, so we're really happy about that. And then I already told you a little bit more about the ODE grant. So we're excited about that one as well. And that would allow us to take those students that have some interest and potentially get them in some fire science classes. And that's one of the items that Sheridan was working on, just like we've done with other classes like calculus, or we did that at both Dallas and Amity. Some higher level Spanish ones, we've been able to do that before in other classes. So to be able to have some students that may be able to go do that if they have interest in that, I think that's really great. We're happy that the ESD is in support of this venture as far as having Sheridan have some of these types of career-oriented classes. And again, they kind of nicknamed it CTEC West because our concern has always been with the ESD, and I know the board members have been on here since, when they first were asking everybody to invest in that, was the duration and the distance from our school. And as much as they want to say, oh no, it wouldn't take you that long to get to Toys R Us, which is a location that would take you a long time during the day. And it's just not something we're going to be able to do. And that's why some schools have backed out. And if we had a couple of offerings in Sheridan, like Eastern Mechanic and Fire Science, and we're talking about a couple others, those would allow some of our neighboring schools around Yamhill County and us, we've been kind of, adopted in, that we would have these opportunities for our kids to be able to take a period or two to work on that and still be Perry Hill kids. So if we decided as a school district, we're interested in that part of it later on, we could always open up spots and pay for that. But right now, there's not any commitment with this grant, depending on what happens with their appeals process with everybody else. So it's really great. And then Christy's going to talk about the early literacy grant and give an update on that. So I don't want to steal her thunder, but we think we have a good way to do the grant. The 25% match that we have to do, and she'll talk about that. So that would not take a lot out of our general fund budget because we had to have that match. We try to be creative with that in order to make sure it worked out. They could be from any funds. And then Food for All program is underway. Hutch was in here earlier. They're bringing up another 500 baskets tomorrow up to Portland. This weekend, they were down in Coos Bay. Just a lot of good stuff going around. If anybody wants a pineapple, by the way, I have some in my office. We had a bunch that had to be taken care of. So if you do want one, let me know. Fresh pineapple. There you go. And again, I just appreciate, I know it's chaos, organized chaos that it is, but there are some of our kids that normally don't really excel as much in some aspects of their classroom situation that Food for All, some of them just shine. And so I love that opportunities like that for some of our students that are given those leadership opportunities and they run with it. So, and Hutch has done something that's food ambassador program in the last 5 years or so, where he's had some students that go ahead of time and they kind of are the ones that go to speak about Food for All and what we do and have that opportunity to talk to people in the industry and talk to the farmers. And we've got really good relationships with them. It's always great to see the students dress up in their official dress and go do that, even though it may have a different name on the jacket, but see it. And then lastly, our high school teams, we have games tonight up there at Sandy and Canyon. And then, overall, during Christmas break, they have a handful of games, but they also have some time off. So that's nice. They have about 4 days off right around the holiday season. We've been doing that for a number of years now. So that way coaches and students, everybody can have that opportunity to be with their families during the break. So that's it.
Great, thank you. Let's move to elementary middle school report.
Alrighty, we have a different trip for myself to experience that I know others have been on, but visiting OSU Beyond the Classroom was a really cool trip. I wasn't sure what to expect. I knew that we were going to a basketball game, but I didn't realize how realistic and how it's not just, I thought a daytime basketball game would be different than the evening time, and it wasn't. They had a lot of activities for the kids to engage in. Kiddos were naturally able to tour the campus without an official tour as we went back and forth to our buses and things like that. And I think just that exposure, kids seeing the dorms, others, the students wandering campus, it was a great experience. And our middle school kids are at just the right age to start thinking a little bit beyond life here at Perrydale. So I think that was a great experience for all of our kiddos. Senior Tea is tomorrow. We're bringing that back after a few years. Last year, we kind of dabbled a little bit where we were able to have the winter performance performed for senior citizens in the area. This year, we're adding some snacks and dessert to the mix, and we're pretty excited that that's coming up tomorrow. A lot of kiddos have been involved in that. Aside from our kids that are performing, we've got our culinary students from the 8th grade class providing snacks. Some of those are just small veggie trays, cracker trays, crackers and cheese. There's some more elaborate boards, so groups were assigned and chose some of their projects of what they were going to be providing, and so they'll be presenting that at the senior tea tomorrow. And I think that's great to have our middle school kiddos involved in that as well. And then our food science class for the high school they made pie today, and they are gonna be serving pie tomorrow afternoon. Our leadership kiddos are the ones who are setting up the gym, setting up the tables, getting things ready to be decorated. And then our food science class is also, and the floriculture class has created some bouquets and things that'll be on the tables. And then our entire elementary made placemats. So it's really a school-wide event tomorrow. We have no idea what our turnout will be. We asked for RSVPs and have very few, but I think that's also a new part of the process. We have maybe been a little bit curious to see what assisted living facilities arrive. We haven't really been contacted by many, so we'll just see how that goes and what we maybe need to do differently for next year. Perhaps it's some of our timing where we need to get the notifications out 2 months in advance versus 1 month, so that their planning can happen. So I think that senior tea is gonna be great tomorrow. Our winter performances, of course, are this week. So we've got senior tea, dress rehearsal, and then our evening performance. Food for All has been an experience for any of our staff that are new or students that are new. So we are, at the end of that process, and it's been another great year. Library happenings. I've been intrigued by what's going on in our library. With our library being so close to our elementary, Mrs. Riley, our librarian, is able to really engage kids during recess and lunch recess times that want to. Some of them just want to be in and out of the weather. Some of them love some of the crafts and activities that she's doing in there with them, including planting small plants, and they take them home after they've watered them and they've been established and they're ready to go home, and they take those home. And it's been fun to watch all the different happenings that are happening in our library. And if you haven't stopped by in a while, go check it out. It's really looking so homey and inviting, and I think even our reluctant readers are enjoying spending time in the library, which has been our goal.
Yeah, it's a great space.
It really is. And then our Jingle Bell Run took place last week as our fundraiser for the holiday project. So that was mostly elementary kiddos that participated in that. But again, having that K-12 approach, our high school leadership class, they were stationed at each corner of the gym. They were assigned a certain group of kids to really keep track of the laps. So having the interaction between the older kids and the younger kids is always really nice. I believe that's it for us.
All right, thank you. Okay, Erin, you want to move to the SPED report?
We have 34 students right now on IEPs. Did the state reporting for that. I went to a law conference a couple weeks ago. And right now we're working on making tie blankets and donating those. The students have been having some great conversations about what organizations they feel should get blankets. LeVay was mentioned because he drives us everywhere that he should probably get a blanket as well. And they have decided that with any odd cuts, any odd fabrics, they're gonna make scarves and smaller blankets for the Humane Society. So that's what we're doing.
Okay, we'll move to facilities report. Any questions on the report or anything you want to add to that? Okay, all right, so we'll move to B, Spotlight on Education.
And that is our literacy grant we've spoken about tonight, and you're tired of hearing the word literacy after tonight, but
Right.
obviously it was the focus point or point of focus, but also timely because of the grant that we have. The grant originally, we were told by the state that we were gonna have to have something signed off on by the board before January 1st, I believe, and now that, of course, has changed. It really feels like a lot of it was, and I'm not putting this on ODE because they had a law passed when they had it passed, but it definitely is a information that is coming and then changing and then coming and then changing, et cetera. So we're just rolling with the punches and trying to make sure that as a school, which is really, again, Christy and Tracy, working with our ESD people that are kind of the experts in this area, also that work with a lot of the districts, and trying to make sure that we're up to speed on everything and get everything done. So, Christy, I'll go ahead and let you.
Yeah, so the first page I provided is just an update to last month's first page. The main change would be the last piece where it's source of matching funds. We've got the library state grant and the summer kindergarten jumpstart program. Katie had brought up preschool and we're still waiting for answers on that, but without preschool, we're still there at our 25%. So we feel really great about that, but being able to include preschool in some of that for future years will be great to know about. Which leads me into, some of our questions have been answered, some of our questions have not been answered quite yet. I was relieved to know that we didn't have to have our application finalized and completely finished by the January 1st deadline, just because we haven't had all of our questions answered quite yet. So having that relief that we feel like we'll be mostly finished, but we're hoping that when they kick it back to us with some questions, we'll have some more information. So providing that thought, part 2 is another part of the application that we have been working on. It's in bright yellow highlight because this process has been very intricate and ever-changing. So what's in bright yellow is what I need to remember to be copying and pasting into our final application. So I didn't want to lose that by providing the copies to you, but really it's just talking about how we plan on providing the professional development coaching that's required as part of the grant, our extended learning, which I've talked with you about that, the kindergarten jumpstart, our summer reading program, our after-school program, and then also our walk to reading time at the end of the school day. Our high dosage tutoring, all of those opportunities would also be high dosage tutoring because we're using highly qualified staff and continuing our training of staff. So really we wouldn't, the high dosage tutoring wouldn't necessarily be that different from the extended learning, but some of them would be different times of the year, some during the school year, some during the summer. The next category is student growth assessment. We've moved to Renaissance this year. That's new to us in this way. So we're really looking to see how we analyze our data, how we collect our data, and how we respond to our data as part of our student growth goal for this entire grant, but as well as moving forward. We had that in the works before this grant became available. This grant is just making it a little bit more financially viable for us to be able to move forward a little bit quicker. And then our communication plan, we have to show how we plan to communicate not only within our school district, but as within our community, which we at Perrydale view that as all the same in a lot of ways, but for the grant, it's a separate category. In category number 6, the matching funds, we've got to talk about how we plan to meet the matching fund requirement, which we're finding that to be pretty reasonable. The one area I'm a little bit not sure about is in grades 4 through 5, if we're serving 4th through 5th grade, that's a different amount of matching funds. And so my question is, does that account for this year or is it for the following year, which I'm understanding is probably for the following year. So I think we're going to be fine in that area. But it's something I'm still watching for sure. And really that's the bulk of the update. We feel pretty good about the grant. I feel, a lot of districts have expressed frustration because there's a lot of unknowns, but that's because this came down so quickly. But regardless, it's money that we're going to be able to really benefit from.
And Christy, I'm trying to remember, it's not like a competitive
No.
grant. It's more of like if you meet the
Yes.
criteria, then the funding will be available.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. January 1st is the deadline to start your application process, but you can submit an incomplete application, which is what most districts are needing to do because of the lack of information and time. We feel like ours is going to be mostly finished, and then we'll be looking for board approval at the January meeting. So last month we had talked about having that application all to you guys in time for this meeting, but with some of the unanswered questions, we weren't able to finish that up, but there should be no problem with that by January's meeting.
Do you have any idea on when they're thinking of closing this process or have
They said as long as you have started your application process by January 1st, you're good to go. When we can actually start spending the money, do you remember that? It's been funny.
Between March and May, they said that's when they'll get us the money. We can retroactively start spending it as of October, but they would do that. There's enough frustration with this whole process that some schools have actually asked openly, what happens if we don't do it? And then the response was, well, yeah, that your community will probably hear that you turned down tens of thousands of dollars towards kids literacy. So.
And we're not
Everybody's
having
doing
that
it.
much problem, thank goodness, but it's been
Yeah.
tricky for sure.
So
Something we really want to do, if we're going to be impacting students this year, we need to be able to implement some of our plans this year, but if we're not able to start spending our money yet, at what point is that really going to impact kids this year? One of our goals is to move or shift one of our IAs over to half-time and three-quarter time readings so we can be grabbing up the next, layer of kiddos that we see could really benefit from some extra supports. And that we just can't serve yet with just one teacher. So we were hoping to start that in December, that didn't come about. January's not looking, likely. So here we have February, March, April, May, June. I would like to see more impact than that, but we'll see.
And it is a 2-year grant, as you saw on the front page, so it would be for next year as well, and that wouldn't just be, the October through the rest of the year, which does actually have a somewhat negative impact on if you are putting too much FTE towards it, because you're looking at FTE starting in October, you can retroactive it that way. And so, it's 2 months essentially, now you're, how are you paying for that FTE, the difference there? So we try to be careful not to put too much FTE towards that, but have some other ideas in there that may be successful for attacking it from a multi-pronged approach.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Okay, so I heard Christy, you said that you're looking at maybe moving one of our aides into a position. So would we absorb that position back when the grant funding is gone?
We're hoping that grant funding is not going to be gone because this is supposed to be renewable, but I don't know that.
Yeah, we wouldn't, so we are, the answer would be, I don't think we're looking to replace the FTE is what we're saying. You're saying absorb that one person.
I'm just wondering if I'm wondering if we're going to replace them in the budget when it comes budget time, or we'll just, if the funding does go away, then we'll just put them back into our budget.
Right.
Yeah, if that was the case, and we just have we list it as a temporary, we would FTE if we were going to do it, because we don't want to get ourselves in a position where some of these other districts that relied on the ESSER dollars so much, and now that ESSER dollars are going away, now all of a sudden they're saying we have to lay off X number of people, et cetera. We want to make sure. We do also have the RIF process, obviously, if it came down to it, but if we did decide to go with something like that for budgeting season, Katrina, then we would, potentially look at doing something for a temporary 1-year deal, because that would be the second year of the process, correct?
And that is exactly what I'm referring to. You're just watching other districts hire the people with those ESSER dollars. I just want to make sure that we're not using the money to have more positions that we need to keep people employed.
I see what you're saying, but I'm also thinking about some of our classroom needs, and if we pull somebody into the reading resource, we're then losing some of the needs in the classroom that for now we could be meeting and are really needing. So maybe that's something that we just need to discuss a little bit further.
Well, and it's not saying we couldn't, but we're just saying if, like you said, hopefully that's not going away either, right? And
Yeah,
so-
part of the application process that's not required is having a set of 4-year goals. We set our 4-year goals because it's going to be required in the next application process. So that tells me that there is, at least 2 more years.
Yeah, well, they have funding for it for 2 years. That's what they received. It's
Right.
just what the legislature does next round. And, there's a literacy task force right now that I think is looking much more on like teacher training and teacher curriculum, but I think we could see some curriculum items.
We've already seen some huge shifts. Right. Which is why our teachers are involved in the letters training. It's LETRS, and it's because of the science of reading shift.
That makes sense.
So two of our staff members are a year into that program. The other two started this past summer. So we're well on our way. We feel pretty great about it. It has been a very intensive program. They're reporting that it's been more than their master's commitment, so it's a pretty big commitment. But they're finding that it's really helping them in the classrooms. Any other questions?
I don't think so. All right,
Thank you.
okay, so let's move to item C, new hires.
So we have Suzanne Blades, our cook assistant. So Suzanne actually helped us out during the COVID year when we had some additional funds for somebody that had some type of nursing background. She has her, but not an RN, but I guess it'd be like an LPN that she had. But she also has worked at schools in the past at Central School District, helping some students with medical situations, some one-on-ones there. And then she also had worked at Safeway, working with some of the various food items there and helping prep food, et cetera, as well. So, we had quite a few applicants. I think we had about, I think we ended up interviewing, I think 5 people or 6 people that day. And Suzanne was the one that got the job. So happy that she applied and working already with Christy Starr and helping us out quite a bit, and very happy. She did find her way to the massage chairs that we got with the grant. She found those last week and she came back in today. So if you too would like to take a ride on those, let us know. We can set that up for you. And then Austin, been very helpful. He's, we had a lot of people that had applied for this. We were surprised. A lot of them ended up backing out on some of their interviews, kind of last minute, et cetera. We weren't quite sure what we were going to get with Austin. He has been really delightful to work with, and working with Jaime at nights. So he's being trained right now, but so far doing really well. He was working with some staff right when he got on campus today, trying to help out with a situation as well. So welcome to Austin as well. And he's the guy, you'll see him, he has some funky I call them Elton John glasses. They're not that big or crazy, but they're different for what you typically see. What's that? You call them that too? Oh, that's okay. I don't think it's bad. I love Elton John. Great music. So anyway, so yeah, again, welcome to both of them.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
nice, very nice. Okay, so let's move to item 6, consent agenda.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that. It's been moved and seconded. Any other further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, passes unanimously. Items for board action, the budget calendar.
We talked about potentially having that. I thought she said, is it in here or did she?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say, I didn't see it. So, yeah, so we had talked about potentially having it in January. I know that when she had sent a message an email to Amber, we talked about possibly having it in January and doing that. The dates are pretty straightforward, but we want to make sure we get that to you. So I'll ask her to send that tomorrow. That way we have that all before January meeting.
When that gets sent
Yeah,
out,
I need those dates pretty quick.
Yeah, especially with your calendar, I get that.
can we get this also sent to the board members that were not here tonight?
Which one is that?
This is the.
Literacy grant? Yes.
Yeah, if they can get that sent
I sure
out.
can.
Isn't it the same as last time?
Yeah, some more updates on that with more information with the kind of the questions they're looking for in the areas.
I can send the budget calendar tomorrow.
Send it tomorrow, okay?
Yeah,
And
or I can send
then
it tonight right
check out
when I get off the live. Doesn't matter. Okay.
We have a few other things for you to do this evening, so you're.
You know.
Are we talking about the budget calendar tomorrow?
Yeah, budget
Yes.
calendar tomorrow and the literacy grant update.
Okay, so we
Yeah,
will.
I was looking forward to those dates tonight, so the sooner the better.
Tomorrow morning it is. So now Vanessa feels like she has to do it tonight.
Oh, I'm doing it
See that
tonight.
look on her face.
It's happening. Yes.
There's no difference tonight or tomorrow, Vanessa.
If I do it tonight, I don't have to do it tomorrow.
Looks like you're doing it tonight, Trina.
Okay. All right, so we'll move to item 8, patron input. And seeing none, we'll move to item 9, any board comments? No, okay. Item 10, announcements, dates of importance.
So yeah, we had the 18th through the 20th, we have the dental sealant program. They're doing it here. Senior tea tomorrow, again, excited about that, and the kids will be performing. And again, like Chrissy said, having the different groups working with them is great. I love having that interaction between some of our local residents and our students and having that opportunity to connect with them. And then winter program, we also have our dress rehearsal that same day. Again, we split it up K through 2 and 3 through 5 for parking and make sure people have more access there. And then Pirate Sounds field trip to the Dallas Retirement Village and Starlight Lanes for a little bowling. And then our winter break. We do have some sporting events going on during the second part of break as well. And then we have our pictures coming up the second day we get back. And then you see the board meeting on the 15th.
I believe that should be the 16th, right?
Yes, that should be, because the 15th is Martin Luther King Day.
Oh,
Yeah.
so sorry.
That's okay.
It's okay, we'll let you live.
Appreciate it.
16, 6:45. Okay, anything else? Okay, then we will adjourn at 7:43. Thank you, Jenny and Trina.
Thank you.
All right, take care, hope you feel better. Bye.
Bye.